Hi, I'm Jenny, and I'm so glad you're back because what you'll learn this session has made a huge difference in my life. You see, I'm a mom to 4 girls, including teenage triplets. It goes without saying that there are a lot of words spoken in my house. So following the command we looked at last week in Ephesians 4:29 is tough. Do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouths. Some days I would settle for do not let any talk come out of your mouths. Maybe you can relate. Seriously though, as a mom, as a boss, as a friend, I want to use my words for good. I want to get this right. I want my daughters growing up with stories of how I always knew just what to say, not how my careless comment has stuck with them for years. Ephesians 4:29 uses the phrase unwholesome talk. Maybe when you hear that, you think of insults or teasing, maybe offensive or inappropriate words, like what you mutter when you may stub your toe. So of course, we'd all agree, don't let those words come out of your mouth. But we don't need God to tell us that. Our moms taught us that if we don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. Unfortunately for us, the standard for our words is even higher than do not let any curse words come out of your mouth. Unwholesome actually means unhelpful or unhealthful. It's anything that doesn't add to another person's well-being. This verse is telling us that every single word we speak should build up or help the person we're speaking to. That sounds great. The problem is we just keep messing it up. We say the wrong thing, or we say the right thing the wrong way, or we don't say anything at all. You've probably done one of those things today, maybe just on the drive over. I'm pretty sure saying the wrong thing at the wrong time is the definition of parenting teenagers. Wanting to help not hurt with our words doesn't seem to be enough. We need some practical tools. Well, good news. The Temperaments Framework is a tool that really does work. I know because Kathleen walked my family through it years ago. It's possible to get a grip on your words. Now, we're not perfect for sure, but understanding our temperaments is like having a cheat sheet. If you've taken the assessment, you know which of the 4 temperaments you are. As we said last time, that influences the words you use. To recap, red, choleric, speaks the language of power and control. Yellow, sanguine, speaks the language of fun and people. Green, phlegmatic, speaks the language of calm and harmony. Blue, melancholic, speaks the language of perfection and order. So let's find out what that sounds like in real life. We asked Kathleen, who you met last time, to gather some people who are great examples of each of the 4 temperaments. And you get to come along as Kathleen coaches them. We hope you're going to identify with one of these folks. They may not look like you, may not be in the same season of life, but we hope you'll be able to relate, that you'll hear yourself in their stories. And there will probably be 1 or 2 that you definitely don't relate to. That's the point. We're all wired differently. You may not get it, but maybe they're wired like your mom or your boss or your spouse. Our goal in this study is to understand all 4 temperaments, so don't get too focused on your own. And one last thing, you've scored the assessment and know your temperament. If you're doubtful or you straight up disagree with those results, that's fine. In fact, it's normal. There's something in all of us that pushes back when we're boxed in. And some of the traits of each temperament are unflattering. Hopefully though, as you hear some real life examples, your results will make more sense. Maybe if you're really honest, they may actually be right. We just want you to listen with an open mind. Okay, enough setup. I'm sure you're curious. Let's go join Kathleen to learn about how you're wired and what that means for your words.
Well, welcome. Thanks for
Hey.
coming.
Yay.
This is going to be a fun journey. It really is. In my office, this is a lot of fun. It's a challenge. We're going to learn a lot of things. So let's go around and tell a little bit about yourself.
Me
Tell
first.
me, you, of course, you first. You
Okay.
first.
My name is Tony. I'm 26.
Mhm.
It's really old. I am.
Careful.
I know. Okay, sorry. I'm newly married and I have a little toddler.
How old?
She's 3.5.
3.5.
She's like 4. I probably need to say 4 now.
Okay. Her name?
Yeah. Dylan.
Dylan. Love that name.
Strong-willed blessing.
Okay.
Hashtag. Oh, you know what it is.
I know.
And why do you know?
So my youngest is 3
Okay.
and very strong-willed. So I'm Jeremy. I'm 40. I have been married for 15 years. I've got 3 kids, 8, 5, and 3. 2 boys and a girl. And
Okay.
she's our leader.
Okay.
The
Future leader.
3-year-old.
The 3-year-old's your leader.
She is.
Wow. That's great. Tell me a little bit about you.
I'm Leslie. It's none of your business what my age is. And, I have a husband.
Okay.
We've been married 30 years. I have 5 children
Wow.
and have started the next chapter of also having grandchildren. So I've got an 18-month-old grandson and a 15-month-old granddaughter. And it's the reason you parent.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh,
You could just skip the whole parenting thing. It's
Just go right
straightforward
there.
to grandparenting.
Oh,
That's,
there you go.
That's the blessing. Yeah.
That's awesome. Andrew.
Yeah, I'm Andrew, 25.
Uh-huh.
No, not married.
Okay.
No kids or grandkids.
Okay.
That's good news.
Just me.
Yeah. Good. And we'd love that you're here, just you.
Yeah.
So do you guys know why you're here?
Kind of,
Little
sort of.
bit.
Kind of, sort of.
Tell us, Kathleen.
Yeah.
Let us in.
Well, we're going to learn about temperaments. We're going to learn about your innate wiring from God. And what happens there is you have a core motivator, you have core unique gifts that He's given you. He's given you strengths and weaknesses, right? So that's what we're going to talk about today because you took the assessment, right? So you're going to get your results. So just a little bit about the temperaments to start with, though. 2 of you are extroverts. That does not mean that we like to fight you around a lot of people. It means that your thoughts and emotions go outward, okay? These people have no filter. So they may say something, right? And then they may say something like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have said that. Or they just needed to know, okay? We're gonna work on the extroverts to put a little bit thicker filter on. Then there's 2 of you who are introverts. Hence, thoughts and emotions go inward, okay? Processors. I happen to be one of these people that like to think things through before I talk, right? There's people who talk before they think, and then there's people who think before they talk, okay? Then there's people who are people-oriented. They will pick a person to be with before they pick a task to do. Then there's task-oriented people. They will pick a task over a person. Sometimes people are even tasks, right? So as we're explaining that a little bit, sounding familiar on what you might be,
I think I need to.
you're starting to feel a little bit of a connection or identity, right?
Yeah.
So
Or maybe some anxiety.
anxiety.
I feel like I got called out just
Yeah,
saying
just a
that.
little bit.
So you took the assessment. So this first step is acceptance. So we're going to give out the your assessment, talk a little bit about each one. So Leslie's my choleric. She's the red. This person is motivated. Their desire is control and power. This person is strong. They're great delegators. They're dynamic leaders. They're quick in emergencies. The weaknesses, they can be a little bossy, intolerant, or impatient, and maybe speak with a tone.
I do not resemble that,
Yeah.
Ramon.
We're going to talk about that a little more in depth. Andrew, my fellow melancholy blue.
Yes.
Yes. We are motivated by perfection and order, right? And we think analytical, logically, creative, musical, artistic. We can remember the negatives. Be hypochondriacs. Judgment and criticism are kind of things we struggle with. Our very calm and kind phlegmatic green, this would be Jeremy. The green is motivated by calm and harmony. This is a kind, innate person that's great at listening and mediating. The weakness side avoids conflict, doesn't like confrontation, no sense of urgency. So we're going to talk about that as well. The brightest
best for
yellow for
last.
last, my sanguine friend, right? People and fun, creative, inspiring, encouraging. May forget names, may put your hand up to volunteer and forget to show up, right? Yeah. And maybe a little scatterbrained. But these are just high-level just ideas of what we're going to talk about and what I teach, but I would like you to read through those. I would like you to take a second and I would like you to read through your strengths, Okay. I would love you to just tell me, Tony, what jumps out at you. When you're reading through those strengths, what jumps out at you?
Okay, this is gonna sound crazy, but popular. Okay.
That jumps out?
Yeah, it just jumps out. Right
And what does that mean to you?
Has a lot of friends.
Yeah.
Like loves community and lots of people all the time. Doesn't matter who you are.
Yeah.
Just want to hang out.
The hands out?
The lives in the ument. My husband calls me a momenteer. I'm just like, I want to juice up everything I can get out of this moment right now.
And you usually like to do that with people.
Yes.
Yes.
With
That would make
people.
it just that much better, right?
That's right.
Okay.
Emotional, expressive, and animated is a big one. Mm-hmm. For sure.
Well, what I know about your temperament, though, is when we're talking about strengths and weaknesses, for the sanguine temperament, those strengths and weaknesses are very close together. So as we're going to move into the weaknesses,
Yeah.
we'll see how close they are. But when you're talking about just being in the moment and doing that with people, what are you doing? How do you communicate with people?
Definitely through words.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's like verbal. It's
Yeah.
all verbal. I love story. Like I want to talk about story. I want to
Yeah.
know. I want to remember something unique about your story. I may not remember your name. Okay. But I'll remember your face and something about your story.
Yeah.
And then just like building, I think I like to call it building when I have conversations. So I wanted to like stack and build. I wanted to keep going. I want it to be exciting
Yeah.
and let's talk about something juicy or I like an.
And I can tell you're very magnetic. Like when you're sitting in there, you are very magnetic to be with, right? And to listen to with the stories. But I hear it common
Yeah.
that the yellows talk in stories and they hear in stories,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And you just explained that, right? That's exactly it, right?
I love it.
Unlike my friend Jeremy. Tell me, Jeremy, tell me some of the strengths that jump out at you.
Sure. So I resonate with a lot of these: generous, content, easygoing and relaxed, leader, especially shepherd. That idea of
Tell
being
me
a
about
shepherd.
that. Tell me about why does that particular word jump out at you?
The way that I like to lead people is more of a shepherd, kind of guiding people, listening to their strengths and where that could fit, and then encouraging that, guiding that, leading them to be able to be in a place of passion,
Yeah,
and then being able to care for them as well,
right.
and help them to be as healthy as they can be as they lead others.
Yeah. So I hope you're seeing, even as we're talking right now, that both of these two, even as they're explaining their strengths, they're explaining them, and the word people comes up over and over, right? And it's in everything they've kind of directed so far. It's all about the people. So that's that side of the chart we'll see. But go ahead, tell us more about that.
So quiet but witty. I enjoy being called funny, but a lot of times people think I'm very quiet.
So you're the guy that says the one statement and leaves the room in stitches.
Yeah.
Right? Right? Because I'm married to the same temperament
that's
you
right.
are. So I get that. I mean, it's quiet and then all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Is that what you're
Unexpected.
thinking? Unexpected.
Yeah.
Right?
Funny. Steady, even-tempered, patient, mediator, negotiator, friendly.
How is that? How do you think that's those things that you have said, the mediator, the listening, the friendly? How is that? How do you see that playing out possibly in your work environment?
Sure. I mean, it definitely has guided me to what I do. I have for years been the person that people come to share, the thing that they don't tell anyone else.
Right.
This is the first time I've told anybody this.
Yeah.
And so that's a part of it. And being able to provide people next steps.
Yeah.
I really like to get to hear their story and hear where they're coming from
Right.
before giving them an idea of
Yeah.
what to do.
So your idea of story and your idea of story both came up with people, but differently, right? Yours is a caring and a guidance way, and yours is to remember and to include and invite, right? To be, I think you said about everybody to be your friend, right? Andrew, did you have time to look through this?
I did.
purposely
appreciate
gave
you giving me some
processing time.
No, definitely. For strengths, I kind of starred analytical, Works well alone and creative.
Okay.
Were the three that really stood out to me.
So you put analytical and creative together,
Yeah.
which I love. But you do that, how do you do that in your daily life?
Sure.
Are they together or are they separate? How are you doing that?
I think that at the root of me, it's together, but I separate them in tasks and what I do. Like I
Okay.
have a financial analyst job where
Okay.
I'm focused on a lot of that, but then
Right.
I also do stand-up comedy,
Oh,
which is
okay.
more of the creative side.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to kind of, some days I feel like I turn off my analytical brain and turn on the creative brain and kind of go back and forth.
When did you realize, though, that you had both of those strengths at the same time? Like, were you a little guy, or did you do that later?
I don't know, probably in school, high school, college.
Okay.
When I started, realized people thought I was funny, but also I really needed to think about what I was going to say to be funny before I said it. And some comedians
Yeah.
are so good at going on stage and just going off the cuff and talking to people in the audience, but I would like to write my jokes beforehand and say them pretty much word for word the way I.
But I loved how you explained that, because switching off at 5 o'clock and becoming
Sure,
that,
yeah.
right? But really, in essence, you were like this all the time.
I think so,
A-
yeah.
And now it's just getting a chance to shine, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how are you liking that part?
Oh, I love it. It's
Yeah?
great. Yeah,
Yeah,
I feel like I
you're
finally
doing
have an
well.
outlet for
For what?
how I felt. I've always felt like I was funny, but didn't really know how to put it out there because I'm not an extrovert. So this is kind of
Yeah.
a cool way of being able to plan being funny.
Yeah, plan being
all
funny.
really gonna get
I
around.
love that statement.
Organized funniness.
Organized humor.
funniness.
That's
That's
good.
very. That
Should
is
be a-
very.
That should be a T-shirt.
Write that down.
Yeah, organized.
Organized humor.
Organized humor.
That's the brand right there.
Because obviously we could put Tony just right up on stage,
Oh,
right, for
yeah.
your opener and
yeah.
in the
Yeah.
last second,
You
right?
could tell her 5 minutes before we started, and she'd be like,
It's
"Yeah,
like,
I got
let's
it."
do it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Exactly.
That's funny. Is any other of your strengths jump out at you?
No, the works well alone, I think, ties
Mm-hmm.
into that because I do like to, whether it's my job or the comedy stuff, I like to work alone and then present it once I've had time to think about it.
Okay.
So that kind of is a part of both.
Yeah, that
where
is
I
part
prefer
of it.
to decide what I think about something before I talk about it with other people so that I
Yeah.
can be confident in what I'm saying.
Yeah. Wonderful. Leslie, my
Yeah.
friend, what do you see jumping off the list of your strengths?
You know
too?
what? Since I already confessed that I'm not going to tell you my age, I'm also going to get out my glasses. So that I read this thing.
Go ahead and get it done, girl.
I'm not going to wear them all the
27's
time,
old.
but
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
do you want to know what I resonate with?
Yes, I do.
Resourceful, pragmatic, and practical. I love
Resourceful, pragmatic, and practical.
that. Persuasive, not easily discouraged.
Mm-hmm.
Can control emotions in emergencies. I am your girl.
Yeah.
If there is something going that is a mess, I am your girl.
And we're going to be even talking about that later, following cholerics when there's an alarm or a fire.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do not
do
start
not
giving me any of your ideas. Just follow me.
just follow. Stay low.
We don't
She
need
will
any
save
input.
your life,
I need
right?
none of your information.
Yeah.
Get it done. Articulates thoughts and ideas well. And I'll tell you, a compulsive need for change.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell us about that. Tell me about
You know,
that.
what's next?
So as things are marked off your box,
Yeah,
you can just go on to the next thing. Right?
absolutely. Yeah.
Go back up towards the top of the list again.
Okay.
Read me again the second thing that you said in there.
The
You said
second thing I
resourceful,
said, persuasive,
And not easily.
not easily discouraged.
Wow. And you said that with some passion.
Yeah.
Yeah. What does that mean?
Just, I won't stop. You know.
And when you're not stopping, tell me what the goal looks like. Is it a project? Is it something that you're accomplishing? What was
I
it
mean,
looking
it can
like?
be the silliest thing.
Okay.
Yesterday, it was a jet ski that had lots and lots and lots of mildew on it.
Okay.
And honestly, not my job to fix this problem because it was created by the misbehavior of my 5 children who don't take care of the thing. But I got a bug in my bonnet that thing could look better, and by the time it was done, it looked brand new. Not
you
just
go.
better,
Yeah.
but I did. And but once I got started, it was just
Non-stop.
And it was not on my plan yesterday, but it became the most important thing, and I was going to see it through.
To the end.
Yep. Wow.
So what's fascinating too is when we listen to Andrew and we listen to Leslie and their stories, really even you putting together your jokes was a task.
Sure.
Right? It was a task before you were willing to put your name on it, right? Or feel comfortable enough to step out on the stage. And then also, when you're listening to Leslie, task.
Yeah.
You know, the people are absent. And when they describe,
You guys did-
absent when they're describing.
Yeah.
That's part of the problem.
Exactly. So again, in order to really stay in our strengths and really be aware of them, we have to know our weaknesses. So that's where we're going to go now over into weaknesses so we can contrast those a little bit, because you have to know those in order to know your strengths. So let's talk a little bit about weaknesses. Why don't we, since we're talking to Leslie, what do you think about the weaknesses you're reading, since you already have your glasses on? What do you think about those? Truthfully.
You know, I don't feel like I really. I mean, these things are said in such a strong way. I don't think I'm arrogant. I don't think I enjoy arguments. I think of myself as very sympathetic. I don't know.
A lot of times the hesitations that I hear with the cholerics is that they don't necessarily see their weaknesses as weaknesses. What do you
Well-
think about that?
Well, I would just, like, I don't even think that these are reflective of how I feel I'm projecting myself. Like, these feel like they've gone out of range to me.
Okay.
Like, I'm way nicer than all this.
Do you think that
And here's another thing, like nervy. Well, yeah, I'm the one that's going to step up and say the thing that needs to be said. Is
Right.
that nervy, or is that just smart?
is that a weakness not being
Or is
recognized
that
as a weakness?
courageous? Or is it courageous? I don't know. Nervy or courageous? Which one?
It's which lens you look through.
right.
Right?
Well, I don't like this lens.
You do- well, what would people
I haven't
do?
read all of these. These are not complimentary
What-
things to say.
And a lot of times
Weaknesses.
when the choleric comes in, what did you say?
So their weaknesses.
That's why I started with strengths, to kind of give you a, right? But a lot of times
stay there.
when the choleric comes into my office, they either own it and say weaknesses aren't weaknesses, or they come in going, I'm always described as the bad guy. I'm always described as these things, you know, and a lot of people, not most, but a lot come in not wanting to be choleric because of the way they're described a lot of the times as some of those things. If you were to step out a little bit and think about your 5 children, maybe your husband, then you read that list.
They might or might not have said some of those things
They might or might not have.
more than once
So
a day.
So there's a point where we want to look at those and take ownership of them, because we're wired for them. We're wired for all the weaknesses. And we want to be very aware when they might start rearing their head, because we do not want to use our temperament at all for an excuse or a weapon. I'm just wired that way. I'm just green, or I'm just, I'm just bossy. I'm a nervy person, so it's okay. So because that's all going to be reflected out in the way you speak to each other, right? Or your family. True?
Right.
Jeremy, tell me about some of the ones that are jumping out at you.
One that I hate is unenthusiastic.
Wow.
I say I hate. Just
Why?
I would like to be more yellow in that.
okay.
Be the enthusiastic person, like for people to be able to read on my face and my body language how excited I am.
Yeah.
But instead, it's like all
So,
underneath.
yeah.
And then indecisive. I feel like I'm a great decider.
Okay.
But some of my loved ones don't always feel that way.
Yeah.
For example, my wife, she'll ask me in the morning, would you like a cup of coffee? And I'll think about it, and several thoughts go through my mind before I give her an answer. And she's like,
Several thoughts.
it's just a decision. You want a cup of coffee or you don't.
Yeah.
But I don't always drink coffee, so it's
Okay.
a decision.
So you're actually
do I
having
want
a
it that
process.
day?
Okay.
Do I want that cup of coffee probably for the whole week, like it's going to be that day or not, or a different day. So do I want it that day?
So funny.
And so yeah.
Yeah.
Do I
So-
want the cream and sugar? Or do I want
And
'cause
so
it's gotta be
all
sweet.
that thought process is going on in your mind while your wife is ready
She's
to
ready
pour
to
the
pour.
coffee.
Yeah.
Right?
And then she gets annoyed.
And it quickly gets
And what does she say to you?
She will say that, like,
Yeah.
do you want a cup of coffee or not? It's an easy decision.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it is an easy decision because she has no idea
Yeah.
the processing that's going on.
Every
That-
day, a cup of coffee or several is a part of her life. So, yeah.
I'm so decisive that sounds exhausting. Like I'm quick to make a decision and live with the consequences.
Yeah.
You know, like if I can't sleep tonight because I drank that coffee too late in the day,
Oh,
there's
well.
tomorrow.
There you go. Right?
And I'm like, I've experienced that before, so let me think about it. Do
Wow.
I want to experience that again?
Wow.
And for me, I would just be thinking, oh, she made the coffee. I should probably have some so she doesn't feel bad.
Whether you wanted it or not, right? You're going to just at least
And
sip
then,
on
I'll
it.
at least take it in the car
Yeah. And maybe
and then
not
dump it
even-
You're
out.
gonna make her feel good just by taking it.
Oh, that's so sweet. Okay, what would I do? Okay, I'm making the coffee. I'm like, do you
You
want
made it.
French press? Do we want to do like a cold brew?
So coffee needs to be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What can we put in it? What
Okay.
cup are we going to use?
Yeah. Yeah.
What if it was all that information?
Yeah. I'll drink water.
Yeah, exactly. He would just, I had a feeling he would either just say no or I'll just have water. Anything else jump off it?
Sure. So a lot of these do, but I don't want to take up all y'all's time. Represents being pushed.
Please.
So don't back me in a corner.
Oh, yeah?
I can get pretty stubborn and like it's almost like a volcano happening. So like this peaceful, calm guy, it's unexpected. If I feel like I'm being pushed
Yeah.
or disrespected, I'd rather watch. So there are some things I love to engage in, and
Okay.
I have a high work ethic for I love my job, and we'll go the extra mile. But sometimes in group conversations, if somebody else says it, then I feel like I don't have to say it, or we'll kind of wait and see if someone else says it.
Yeah.
If I have an idea, and then I'll put it in. So I have to push myself to speak up.
And this is what one of the things, a couple things that I just love about this temperament is now that we're talking a little bit more, we see that where Jeremy sits is on the people side, but he's an introvert. Which is fascinating because if we stay on how people describe introvert and extrovert, this particular temperament kind of falls through the cracks. And actually, Leslie, it affects your temperament as well because you're an extrovert, but you really would rather do tasks first.
Yeah.
And when we're thinking about extrovert, we think, oh, people. But that's why I really encourage you to think of it in these terms because this is what's going to give you really understanding of your temperament. The other thing Jeremy said that I think is very worth repeating is this quiet, gentle temperament can take pushing for a very long time. But when they're pushed into a corner, they're going to fight or they're going to flee, right? And usually they flee. They'll leave the home, they'll leave the party, they'll leave the job, right? But if this temperament decides to fight, they can make the very strong warrior of the choleric look like a kitten.
Wow.
It is so explosive and so out of the norm, really, right?
Yeah.
Has that ever happened to you when you said you're pushed into a corner?
It has.
Could
Do
you
I
kind of
wanna share
show
this
us that it's
story?
I don't
there?
think I want to sit next to Jeremy anymore.
So, an example.
Yes.
I'm in a drive-through at a fast food restaurant. We're starting a road trip, and unfortunately, there's other people in the car besides my immediate family. My sister-in-law's in the car, so she got to see this. So that because I have a quieter voice, I've heard for years speak up. I can't hear you, so I'm talking, pretty loud to the microphone, and the lady's getting my order wrong, and so I'm asking her to change things. And she is obviously getting irritated too, and she's got an attitude. So finally, they don't have something that I'm trying to order, or it's not working out. So I just kind of erupted, and I hit the horn, and it's like, fine, I'm going somewhere else. Like, and left the drive-thru.
And he did. He hit the horn.
Peeled out of-
My very
sounds
yellow
like peeled out of
sister-in-law was like, I can never see my husband do that. Like,
Yeah.
I can't believe you did that.
You were pushing his
so
corner.
just pushed in the corner.
Give it to him, Jeremy.
Yeah, I love that.
Who's boss?
I love that. And he fled, right?
Oh,
That's
he
good.
left. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, yeah.
did.
Yeah, definitely. Andrew.
The ones that I marked: skeptical, false humility, standards often too high, as much as I hate to admit it, insecure socially, and too reserved.
Well, tell me a little bit about false humility.
Sure, I feel like sometimes I'll be,
I'm sorry.
I'll,
It's such a funny one.
So awesome.
I'll put,
Nah.
I don't know what you guys are talking about. I think I'll put myself below someone in an interaction, not to make them feel better, but to make myself feel comfortable.
There you go.
So it kind of is
Very
a
well
false
said.
humility
Yeah.
situationally, just
Yeah.
because that's kind of my comfort zone for like the attention to be on them. So to kind of let them, you know, dominate whatever we're talking about,
Yeah.
and we just kind of play devil's advocate almost.
Yeah, so you're safe.
Right, it's a
Right,
safe place.
right.
So I feel like it can come across as, oh, he's so humble, but
Mm-hmm.
it's also kind of selfish.
Yeah, which is one of the weaknesses that we all share. We all have our own weaknesses that go wired into your temperament, but the one that we all share together is selfishness. And that's one of the things as we talk through this in this journey we're going to try to eliminate. That's the first one you want to actually eliminate, not just work on, right?
Well,
Comedian, awkward socially. How's that work?
Yeah, no, it's comedy's great because I can talk to a lot of people, but they don't talk back. So it's like I can talk, but I don't have to have a conversation.
I can talk, but I don't have to have a
And I
conversation.
really do enjoy having conversations
Yeah.
with people that I know and trust.
Keyword
but I'm
there,
not
trust.
the person that's on the airplane making friends with the person sitting next to me.
Exactly.
Don't
Exactly.
No,
Yeah.
definitely not.
Well, while you're
yeah, like at a wedding.
Okay.
Like at a wedding is the time I like to talk to strangers because the alternative is dancing.
So you do whatever keeping you
Yeah,
from the
so if I
worst
gotta-
unsafe thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that because trust
Very
and safety
strategic.
are
People are like, "You're
huge
so
for
talkative
us
at
blues,
weddings."
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a.
Did you hear Leslie? She goes, very strategic.
Yeah.
You like that? You like that
Planning
strategic
so
planning?
Absolutely.
You're a little bit impressed now with how he goes through those steps,
I
aren't
was
you?
impressed before, just
Yeah?
because he even put the false humility one on the list and spoke it out loud.
Yeah, and he owned it, right? Well, this is a safe place too. So let's talk about you. What do you see?
Okay, what's interesting is as I read through them, like a while ago before I like really got confident with who I was, this would all be like very discouraging for me.
Okay.
Which is why I would love to start with number 10, which is confidence fades fast.
Okay.
So lots of people think that I'm so confident because I'll talk to anyone about anything, however long, however loud.
Yeah.
But I get like, I don't know, on the inside, I'm really soft and I
Yeah.
will get discouraged very quickly.
And how's that discouragement? How do you get discouraged?
Like
what does the
criticism.
people have to do? Okay.
Criticism.
Okay.
Someone talks about something that I did like in a negative light, even if they use like the best sandwich method, it's
Yeah.
like big piece of bread.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah. As soon as they transition, I'm like, I can feel it. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming. I'm the worst person in the world. Oh my gosh, I'm horrible.
Oh, okay.
And so then
wow.
I go down, downhill.
And
then
it
by the
goes
time-
fast.
Oh, it goes real quick.
Yeah.
I'm like on top